What's going on, guys? This is Dobry with the Dungeon Tank Guardian again. This is a big day. This is a day I've been looking forward to. Now, our girl has done magnificently over the past 5 months. I've never been more happy to have picked a Guardian as my main. She has proven herself lots of times. She outfitted lots of level 80s that I have, and she managed to bring a lot of other characters. So now, for all her hard work, she is going to get her very own legendary. Now, before I made the Dungeon Tank video, I never thought I'd ever gonna make a legendary, because you know, the legendary is actually pretty much the same as any other item, as any other exotic, stat-wise. It's just for posterity. But then I realized that if new items show up, if something new comes up, the dungeon tank will get her legendary boosted to deal with the new changes, and it will automatically be the best item in the game, because it's impossible to have an item that's not the best in the game. I will also use this as an opportunity to talk about PvE and a bit about world versus world, because some people ask me about those two aspects of the game. I will cover them just in a second, because now it's the big moment.
May
So
the Six watch over you.
let's put in the Energizer, the Gift of the Mood, the Gift of Fortune, and the Gift of Mastery, and hit the Forge key. And Zomoros awards you with the Mood. Now, I know there are better legendaries stat-wise and such, but I disagree. I think for the Dungeon Tank Guardian, the best weapon is the Mood, because we are using a mace and a shield, and let's get real, the Mood is a disco ball. Who doesn't like discos? And let's go back to my favorite place in Lion's Arch. It's perfect. I love it. So, and now we will equip our very own legendary.
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
Yeah, girl, you are great. I agree. So, that's the mood. It's awesome. I love it. It's perfect. I'm gonna celebrate after that. But, as I promised, we will talk about PvE and PvP and world versus world a bit. So, this girl did pretty much everything on her own. Now, I know I've played the game for 5 months. I put about close to 1000 hours in it. That's roughly 5 hours a day or something, which is okay. You don't need to be a complete nerd in order to get a legendary. So I said that we will talk about PvE, of course. I know, I'm overexcited now, sorry. So this, as you see it, is my PvE setup. Now, what you see here is I'm using the best heal in order to cure conditions. I'm using Save Yourselves because of my build. As you recall, I made a build which is purely based on dealing extra damage for boons, because I have boons all the time. I am using the Signet of Judgment, because it's a good idea to reduce incoming damage, and it's a good idea to improve your power a bit in order to kill faster. You might ask yourself why. Now, many people told me that a Guardian with a mace and a shield hits like a... how was that? A wet noodle. That's wrong. In the end, our damage is a bit lower, but since we picked Sentinel gear, which is power, toughness, vitality, we do have some power to show up for it. So, in the end, we have some power, some boosted power, and additional reduction to damage. That is not going to cut it against a single opponent. So, you need to just try to open your horizons a bit. Why should we use it as a single target damage? Why don't we just hit stuff and kill stuff en masse? For example, my favorite place in the entire map is this one. There are plenty of enemies in this area. You can easily tag a few enemies and bring them towards you. So, tag like 3 or 4 enemies with your scepter. There you go. And the fight goes as easily as that. You tag a few enemies with a basic scepter attack, you bring them next to you, you hit the number 2 key, our first AoE, then you hit the number 5 key to defend, then you hit the number 2 key for a second AoE, then you hit the number 3 key, and if someone hits you, that's another AoE, and then you hit the number 4 key, that's another AoE. And if you have the time, and if you hit the save yourselves, that's even more damage. This is just wicked. You cannot imagine how quickly this girl can kill like 4 or 5 enemies at a time. So, granted, we do not have single target damage, but we do have a couple of close combat AoEs and a couple of options to just kill enemies en masse. I think this game is not about killing a target quickly, it's all about killing stuff efficiently. And in my opinion, that is the most efficient stuff to kill enemies. Now, as I said, when I made the Dungeon Tank video, I never ever thought about making a legendary. But I used this girl, I played around, I did Cursed Shore. It was awesome. I just saw how easily she could kill like 4 nobles, even though they were tagging their AoEs below my feet. Now, there is one more thing just remembered that I should mention. As we said, that's the combo. 4, 5, 4, 2, and 3. It can be done in this order as well, especially if you need the protection first. But after you're done with this, and if you're facing a lot of enemies, you hit this and this, F2, F3. This gives you like 7 to 8 seconds of retaliation. That's even more damage against anything that hits you. So this is an awesome way to kill enemies en masse. So if you're fighting somewhere in that area, be sure to use it. The heavy moldy bags sell well. They're also an awesome option to make money and materials. As I started making that video on the 6th of May, I had like 300 gold. I had pretty much no materials, because in the end almost everything was spent on crafting in order to make more money, because I was pretty much content at developing my other characters and buying some simple equipment for them. But then this girl was doing so well, she outfitted everyone else, so I said, why not? And in this month that went by, I was making money, I was making materials, I did South Sun very heavily, I was playing in World vs. World a lot. Now, as I said, I will talk about World vs. World a bit. In my opinion, the best build for World vs. World is not the one that kills a single target quickly. It doesn't For me, I don't care if I'm a thief and I can just stab someone for 10k damage and be a glass cannon. Now, in my opinion, the people who get the most loot bags and the most badges are the ones who survive the longest. And the Guardian, and especially this type of Guardian, can survive the longest. There is one more thing that I really like about World vs. World, and I just love using it. It's to frustrate thieves. Now, this one, the Protective Reviver, isn't that well. But there is an Resolute Healer which is very, very cool. So it generates a Shield of Absorption once every 60 seconds when you start reviving an ally. Now, you know how many people play Thieves, and you know how many people play perma-stealthed Thieves, and you know how many people just drop that Shadow Refuge or just try to shadow step or cloak or something like this next to a downed enemy, and they do a Shadow Stomp. Now, with this, you just wait a couple of seconds, you know the thief will Shadow Stomp, and you start reviving the ally. What happens? This is an interrupt. This interrupts the Shadow Stomp. And then you have a thief lying on the ground, completely defenseless, which is easily susceptible to AoEs, and quite honestly, I really love this trait. Now, since I was doing Cursed Shore, I haven't switched to Resolute Healer, but that's all the same. This is why the Shield of Absorption is also a big tool in World vs. World, because you can stop Shadow Stomping Thieves like twice every minute. There is one more usage though. You do know that that all keeps, castles and towers have a door, which the enemies use to go through it and hide inside the keep. Now, what would happen, for example, if we use a setup like this one? Where's my sanctuary? There it is. Now, the enemies want to enter their door and hide behind the keep. There are two things we can do against it. Interrupt and knockback. You just push them towards your allies and they will slaughter them easily. The second thing we can do is, well, I think there was a way to make our consecrations have a wider radius. Was that correct? Or was it not? No, or was it in radians? Okay, let's say it was in radians. The next thing you can do is this. Just throw that sanctuary right in front of that gate and they will never enter, because it lasts 6 seconds and foes and projectiles cannot enter. They will just hit your barrier, get pushed back, hit your barrier, get pushed back, and your allies will just kill them easily. The setback to that is it lasts like 120 seconds. And it's a bit unpleasant to have such a long lasting skill, such a skill with that long of a cooldown, but it's also okay. This also gives you one more option to revive allies without allowing other enemies or shadow stomping thieves to kill a downed friend. So that's pretty much how I play PvE and World vs. World. To me, efficiency and durability is everything. If you can endure a fight, you will get a lot of badges. If you can kill en masse, you can get a lot of money. Now, I understand that probably this build will have a ton of problems if they have to fight a very tough veteran on or champion mob, but that's all the same. You don't really need to go and fight such enemies unless you are with a party or you want to achieve something, like do some achievements or something like this. It's not a good thing to do. You want to kill quickly, okay. You want to kill en masse, and you want to be efficient. You want to make money easily, and you want to do as much as you can in the shortest time possible. Because let's face it, I'm a guy who cannot play all that much. I play no more than 2 to 3 hours a day, and I play just a tad more on my day offs. Since I do have to work, I do have my life, and in the end, I always go for any build that kills efficiently, because I do want to make as much money in those 2 hours as possible. This is it, guys. I'm still very much overexcited for that legendary. I love it, and I really love the effects that go with it. They're just so cool. And what can I say? See you later, guys. Thanks for watching, and now I think I'll go get a drink. Goodbye.